It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, Brian, let's talk about our 30s, right? So there's a chance, right, if you are in your 30s now, you were probably working during the last recession, but you were still early on in your career. If you're in your 30s today, you were somewhere between 16 to 25 in the year 2008. There's a really good chance at that point in time, you were more focused on what's it like to be an adult, or what's it like to go off to college, or what's it like to begin my journey in the real world than you were on financial markets. So there's a very good chance that this is the first time you've started paying attention and saying, uh-oh, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. My 401k balance is dropping. And so it's kind of opened up your eyes a little bit.
Well, I always worry about my 30-year-olds because you're already naturally in the messy middle. I mean, there's so much life that typically, if you just look at the averages, this is when people are getting married. Yep. This is when they're buying their first house. So there's lots of life stress that's going on. And as you alluded to, I think there's a lot of 20-somethings. Look, I want everybody to start investing as early as possible. But I think there's a lot of people that sleep through their 20s and didn't really catch on what they should be doing financially. And then so you bring this into the 30s and you're like, wait a minute, I got life stressing me out. Now I've got the financial world's going to stress me out. It is just all adding to things. So let's clear the noise. And let's do what we do here at the Money Guy Show. Let's tell you what to focus on.
Yeah, so the one thing, this is very similar to what we said in the 20s. In your 30s, you want to focus on how do I stay employed. I would take a special exercise to pay attention to the industry and your company's financial health, as well as your own unique skill set. Am I continuing to develop the skills? Am I continuing to increase the value that I add to my employer? Or are my skills becoming less valuable? Is the technological world in which I live in making me more easy to replace? I think for folks in their 30s, there is nothing wrong with finding out how to make yourself peacock at work. How do you make yourself a unique value add proposition for your employer that they start saying things like, man, I could not imagine my team, my business, my firm, my enterprise without so-and-so, because they are such an integral part of this team. The more solid you can insert yourself in that position, the more security you'll have around your job.
Yeah, I definitely think making yourself sticky or indispensable is a tremendous value when things get scary. Yep. And let's tie into another thing I think is important. You can focus on risk management.
That's great.
And risk management, especially in your 30s, is making sure that you have your emergency fund. We're beyond $1,000 at this point, like having your deductibles covered and so forth. Now we're more in step 4 of the financial order of operations. I want you to have 3 to 6 months of cash reserves built up. On the insurance side of life, let's talk about, you need to make sure you have life insurance, like term life insurance, especially if you have children or people who are counting on you. You need to have good health insurance, disability insurance, as well as property and casualty, including an umbrella policy that sits on top of your homeowners, your automobile policy. You just want to be protected from any and everything that could come your way.
Yeah, insurance is one of those really frustrating things that we pay for it and we hope we never use it. We pay for life insurance, we hope we don't die. We pay for disability insurance, we don't want a disability. We pay for property and casualty insurance, we don't want bad stuff to happen to our things. So naturally, if we're getting into a recession and things are tight and we're starting to think about places where we can cut, we start looking at our insurance. Oh, do I really need that? Should I really carry that? What is likely to happen? Be careful of allowing yourself to fall into that trap, because the reason that you have that insurance is in the event that something happens you did not know was going to happen. It helps you plan for the unknown unknowns of this world. I think if you start skimping on that, cutting some of that out, trying to make it a cost-cutting measure, you are putting yourself out there on the risk side of things where you do not want to be.
Yeah, I think another thing that helps, because we're talking about some of the negatives when we're talking about staying employed, the cash flow management. I want to bring it back to, wealth building, but that's, it's hard when you're thinking about building wealth, especially in your 30s where there's so much compounding opportunity. It's hard to increase your income.
Sure.
So you can save more. You can focus on your cash flow, though.
That's
you can
great.
figure out ways that maybe you can cut back or trim back your expenses, because the multiplying effect of your wealth, meaning if you start investing when markets are getting beaten up, it is the best opportunity to maximum point of opportunity for you to be building wealth for the long term. So focus on getting those dollars to work.
Yeah, you hear us talk about $1 can still turn into $88 for a 20-year-old. $1 can turn into 88 by 65. For people in the 30s, your dollars still have juice. For a 30-year-old, $1 can still turn into $23 by the time you get to retirement. Even for a 39-year-old, someone at the end of this decade, $1 can still turn into $8. So in your 30s, it's likely this is the first time where lifestyle creep has kind of started to happen. Maybe you're being a little bit looser on your budget. You're spending on things you didn't used to spend money on. During a recession is a great time to reassess, what am I spending money on? What things am I spending money on? And do I actually want to be spending money on these things? Or are there areas where I can cut back and reshift those soldiers to start working inside my army of dollar bills?
Well, and I think it's, let's go ahead and give some hard love here. I think that it's important to focus that our goal, we want you to be saving and investing 25% of your gross income. In your 20s, that can be aspirational because I understand in your 20s, you're just trying to figure it out. In your 30s, I need you to be saving this 25% because of this wealth multiplier that we're sharing is so powerful. Take advantage of it while you should be getting traction in your career.
Yeah, if you want a copy of this to keep you reminded of this, go out to our website, moneyguy.com/resource. You can download the wealth multiplier. You can see this for 30-year-olds, but you can also see it for 20-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. It's amazing how powerful your dollars can be, but you got to get them to work. You got to get them working for you.
So, Bo, let's talk about what to forget because I want to make sure, because there's lots of noise out in the world when we're going through these downturns and recessions. What should people forget? The first thing I think of is anytime you get home, you get in your car, or you're even on the internet, it seems like you're getting hit from all directions with the skies falling and everything is working against you right now.
Yeah, we often think that the financial media, the news cycle, has our best interest at heart. I don't know that that's true.
It's definitely not true.
What they care about is they care about your eyeballs, not your best interest. They want you tuning in or listening to them so that they can sell advertisements, so that they can create more revenue for themselves. So oftentimes the advice that they give or the narrative that they share is not the one that you should buy into. It's the most fantastical one. It's the most exciting one. It's the scariest one. It's the one that's going to keep you engaged. Be careful what you let into your mind and be careful what voices you allow inform the decisions that you make.
Now, this next one, it comes in two sides where people get taken advantage of. Is that for my older clients, I feel like people, when we're going through downturns, they'll sell stuff that's overly conservative because they want you to feel safe. But for younger people in your 30s, people will sell you sexy, sizzle ways to cut a corner off of your wealth building process. I'm talking about crypto, jumping into leveraged real estate way before you actually have the resources to do it well. Complicated life insurance products. These are all the individual things that can be going on that will sidetrack you from the true path to creating financial independence.
I think it's so interesting, Brian, that oftentimes with a recession, it's coupled with a bear market. And we're seeing that right now. That's actually happening. Present day, we're in a bear market. And a lot of times folks want to say, oh, well, look, clearly the stock market doesn't work anymore. We're in a bear market. Buying index funds doesn't work. Buy and hold is for losers. Long-term investing is out the door. That is just silliness. Don't fall prey to the trap that you need some different solution to get you through this. We've been through recessions before. We'll be through recessions again. Things that have worked historically are likely to continue to work moving into the future.
This wasn't in our show notes, but it just hit me because I was like, oh, when I lived in that neighborhood, I was in my 30s. We went through the Great Recession of 2008. I want everybody, this is, by the way, if you're looking for an indicator of recession, when you start seeing people come on the scene offering never before heard of or seen multi-level marketing. If you remember all the energy drinks that were being pitched in my neighborhood, all the supplements and things like that, that ties right into these solutions that will supposedly get you through a recession. Pay attention. This might be an indicator that this is when you know people are in a really hard situation, that they're really grasping at ways to try to fill in the gaps.